Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 15-Minute Study Podcast, where the study break never really ends up taking 15 minutes. My name is Zachary Stirk, and I'm your host for today.
My name is Ivan.
And I'm Jack.
And our podcast will rotate between all three people. Today, we're going to talk about Halloween and just give a brief overview of the history of Halloween and how that impacts different markets. And yeah, we're just going to talk a little bit about Halloween and how it affects business around that time and around the holiday period. I guess to kind of start out, um, what how was your guys' Halloween? We'll talk about that. Let's talk about that.
I guess I can kick things off. But I didn't really go out during Halloween, but I'm gonna say, it was definitely very energetic for a Thursday night. It seemed like a Friday night, but it was on Thursday. And actually, um, my lab partner, also one of my close friends, ditched me for my 8 a.m. lab on Friday because he wanted to, be out all night on Thursday. So I had to do my lab alone at 8 a.m. But other than that, it was very energetic. But actually, I just wanted to say, like, I don't know about you guys, but I did go home that weekend and I talked to actually a lot of people. And apparently, maybe it's just a Bay Area thing, but a lot of people are not getting any trick-or-treaters during Halloween. And that's, my parents, we usually like turn off our lights if we don't have prepared anything, right? So people don't come knocking on our door and asking for candy. But even with the lights on this year, my parents said that, nobody, like there was actually like the street was like quiet. There was nobody there. And I was talking to some other people who live around the area, and basically, yeah, they spend like 1 or 2 hours preparing. They bought a bucket of candy, and nobody came to their door. And then I don't know about you guys. Maybe it's just the area where I live, but I think that's a growing problem. I've definitely been observing this trend recently, but just something I wanted to point out to have some like things where you guys think about.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, fair. So I guess for anyone who's new to the 15-minute study break podcast and this is their first episode that they're listening into, if you're tuning into Spotify, then you can't see the background. I'm just gonna say I go to the University of Michigan, and I'll have the other co-hosts also introduce where they're going to maybe later in the episode. But at Michigan, the Halloween weekend actually started Wednesday, and I think UMich is actually famous for starting their Halloween weekend on Wednesday. And it was a pretty wild Thursday, and I did go out on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Everyone was dressed up in the costumes. I just put a jersey over myself. I was pretty lazy about it. But I know several of my friends who were planning what they were gonna do on Halloween weekend. They were gonna coordinate what costumes that they were gonna wear. And they got their costumes like 1 month in advance. So it's definitely a big part of college culture, especially at big public schools or just any school that has like a big like party culture. Um, I wouldn't just say that actually. I'd say like pretty much any school that you has any sort of like good social life should be hosting some sort of Halloween party for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. In this case, it would be a Thursday because Halloween was on Thursday, and I know for some other schools that Halloween weekend was actually the weekend before Halloween. And I know that was the case for Illinois. And I actually got invited to go to Illinois for the Halloween weekend, but I feel like the travel there was too much of a hassle for a current freshman. So I chose not to go. And everyone was telling me about how much I missed out. And Illinois is pretty notorious for their Halloween weekend ragers. And that's definitely something I will consider when I potentially think about what I'm gonna do for Halloween weekend next semester. I mean, sorry, next year. I remember there's no Halloween next semester, but so Halloween weekend's just usually a big tradition here, and then I think we'll definitely talk more about how business is involved in Halloween weekend maybe later in the episode.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, to go back to kind of like what Ivan was talking about with trick-or-treaters not really showing up, I think it's kind of important to put it in like perspective now. I don't know about y'all, but when I was younger, I was constantly playing outside and just like running around. Like I'd just spend hours just I don't even know what I was doing. I just run around and like because there weren't as many like video games and stuff like that and like screens and things um, that keep people inside. I think that people like I would just go outside and be bored. And my family, I would go up to my family and ask them like, "Can you give me something to do? I'm bored." And they just tell me to go outside. So I think that like kids now are just they're way more likely to stay inside and be on phones and stuff like that rather than like getting out and doing those type of fun things. But I think it's just like how the generation is changing. Like everyone's on their phone all the time, and it's kind of
Yeah, I
sad,
feel like
honestly. I think it's a problem too.
yeah, just I guess like talk about like I actually haven't been hearing much. I'm a little bit out of touch with obviously the younger generation, but I know like most people around our age, like high schoolers, college students, they usually either go to like parties dressed up in the costumes, or they just go to like or they just host house parties or hangouts with all their costumes on. I think that is becoming more popular, especially around like when you're going into high school or going into college. I definitely have noticed that the amount of trick-or-treaters has been decreasing, and in my neighborhood back in the Chicago area, it has been decreasing for quite a while. I remember in like 2018 or 2019 we had a ton of trick-or-treaters, but then after COVID that number definitely declined a lot. So maybe potentially because of an event like COVID pandemic during that time, not only did were people afraid to get out there just because they were scared of catching COVID, but also during that time the rise of technology and just so many other like different developments that in entertainment that have now become new methods to entertain children. It is a very sad, I agree with Zach in that it is a very tr sad trend to see that kids are not going trick-or-treating more often as they used to be.
Well, actually, I was gonna disagree because actually, I feel like social media should actually, or having digital devices actually should push kids to go out more during Halloween, especially because, I've actually seen like people posting on social media or whatever, just being very creative with the costumes, right? And at the point of having like a costume on, like super creative costume on, or like a very stupid costume on, is to have attention, right? And like, walking around campus, a lot of people, there's definitely like a lot of prisoners, a lot of cops, and then a lot of Alvin and Chipmunks, especially. But I feel like the point of social media is actually will actually boost people going on trick or treat. But I feel like the problem with having less trick or treat is that people are going to more populated areas, right? Like I live in South Bay Area, like Bay Area, Silicon Valley, and we're basically a suburban sprawl, right? There's not a lot of people, and not a very dense area, but definitely a lot of people. So, and there are actually, I live in the Silicon Valley, it's where Apple is, where some of Google is, right? Where some of Amazon is, mainly Apple. We can see like people going to certain hotspots during Halloween, right? Like people be like, oh, go to Cupertino where Apple is, and then there's a lot of people there, right? So everybody goes there because, since there's people more people trick or treating, the people who are giving out candy also put more effort in to costumes, decorating their houses, etc. Right? So people like literally, some parents couldn't even find parking down in Cupertino because there was that many people trick or treating. So I think at least for my community, is that people are going elsewhere for trick or treating instead of staying within the community. Because I remember when I was in elementary school, I went out. I usually don't go out when I was young, but during Halloween, it was definitely time to go out and trick or treat. And definitely some houses went all out. They had like a maze. I remember that distinctly. Like some house had like a very short maze, which is very cool. Definitely ingrained in my memory because I got scared the crap out of me. But people did go out. Like people did spend a lot of effort, but I don't know. It's maybe because my community is disproportionately like the generation is just my generation. So like they're out and about now. People going to college, getting a job now, and then there's less kids in the community. Or it's just that parents are taking their kids away from their actual communities and to other suburban communities that have more people and people who put effort into decorations because there is more trick-or-treaters.
I just also kind of want to add on to that. I think there's a trend now that more kids or just more kids, more teens, more even college students are actually going to more haunted houses. And I know that because I feel like I talked to a bunch of my friends about what their plans were for Halloween weekend. And actually a lot of them said that they wanted to go to a haunted house before they went to some of the parties in at Michigan. And I think definitely there I think a lot of kids a lot of parents are actually more willing to take their kids to haunted houses than rather staying in the community. I'm not exactly sure about the decline in trick-or-treating across neighborhoods. As I said before, it was something that I had noticed in my local community before I went off to college. And I do actually think that in college there's still people that go trick-or-treating on dorms, which is kind of strange. But also like if you also a trend that I've noticed is that for especially those like high school house parties or just like college like hangouts, like there's usually candy that you can just like snack on during that time because it's Halloween. Candy and snacks are still such a big part of just Halloween culture, even though the trick-or-treating aspect of it is declining.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. I mean, even like where I'm from Blacksburg, Virginia, which is a college town, but it's definitely like a smaller college town than like maybe Ann Arbor. Um, and like they would do trick or treating for kids at the like sorority houses and stuff like that. Um, I think it's just kind of like interesting the the differences you would see in each um like each culture. So like I don't how do they do trick or treating in California, Ivan? Because like where I'm from, it's like it's close together, suburban, but like people would just walk like from one side of the town to the other side. Like do people drive in like a large area like California?
Well, I think nowadays more driving, but back when I was out there trick-or-treating, it was definitely more walking around in the community, right? I don't think I've ever left my community trick-or-treating. Maybe a little bit like to the neighboring community, but definitely didn't leave my community. But I think nowadays, parents are going out of their way to drive their kids into areas that, you know, have better trick-or-treating, I guess. Like people, I guess it reminds me of this meme where like this guy pretends to be like a 30-year-old driving around his little brother and be like, hey, I've been in this game for 20 years. I go to the rich neighborhoods where they hand out full-size candy bars, right? So I guess more parents are doing that rather than staying within the community. Uh, at least here, because where I live, Silicon Valley is suburban sprawl. There's like it's suburbia for basically everything down here. Unless you go up the peninsula to San Francisco or up east to Oakland or Berkeley, it's gonna be all suburban, right? So I guess a lot of driving. It's not a it's that doesn't give small town vibes, so it doesn't really give big city vibes. So it gets very unique to where I live.
Yeah, that's very and like I feel like California, especially Silicon Valley, is definitely a very interesting area. Never been there, but definitely want to go see it sometime. My aunt lives in San Francisco, which I think is pretty close, isn't it? It's like
Yeah, if for this podcast launches, we'll pay you out. We'll drive it, we'll fly you
okay,
out.
okay, yeah, fly me out. Okay, let's get into the meat of it. Yeah. What are like some of y'all's opinions on like how Halloween will impact the economy? Um, and like, do you think that it impacted the economy more back then when people were like trick or treating more, or do you think it's like it's different now? Like, or is it the same? What do you guys think?
In my opinion, I think it's really the same, honestly, because Halloween is so unique and very interesting. Like Halloween, like I guess Halloween and Christmas, those are the two holidays or like holidays that are very unique and very time specific, right? Like Halloween is, I guess, starts in October, ends in October, right? And that's in that very specific time. Everybody's very interested in horror movies, in like haunted houses, etc. And then same with Christmas. And then everybody's there's like interested in like hot chocolate, eggnog, Santa. These are very, I guess, seasonal, very 1 month things to occur. And the culture really hasn't changed, right? Like if you wanna direct create a horror movie, you will want to release it in that October timeframe, right? Like if you don't release it during that time frame, it's not gonna really go well because
Yeah.
only in October people are interested in seeing like horror, gore, like people go out of their way to see those things, while normally people won't, right? So, um, Halloween really brings like this very unique business strategy, I guess, because if you don't go in on all in on a Halloween thing, you're not gonna make bank off of this season, right? People are going out of their way to going like, oh, spider, right? Very cool. Witches, the black cats, and like people are going out of their way to do these things. So I think a lot of businesses really want to capitalize on that for like this really like 5 to 6 week time frame where people are really into that stuff.
Yeah. I think that we definitely see like economic stimulation through that time. But like my question, maybe Jack, you can chime in on this one. Do you think that like Halloween, like when we see the economy stimulated, do you think it's because of Halloween or do you think it's because of Christmas? Because people nowadays are like getting ready for Christmas before Halloween's even ended, like more than a month,
No,
which is
that's just
actually
Mariah
insane
Carey.
to me. It's actually crazy. But
That's
I'd like to
crazy.
hear like, do you think it's Halloween really, or is it just Christmas, like the early Christmas people that's stimulating the
I
economy?
don't actually know how many people are early Christmas people. To my knowledge, I can't think of anyone at the top of my head who's early Christmas person. So I would actually lean more towards people who are spending on Halloween just based off of like just my experience talking to like people. I definitely think that something that Ivan didn't mention is that like even though the culture has pretty much stayed the same, I think spending behavior might be a little bit more different. And I think that because the development of these like digital selling platforms like eBay, Amazon, like you can buy like a lot of things off of that. And when that case, like that was something that wasn't here, like, or wasn't like super, super big like 10 years ago. So if you really want to buy a costume that you know for sure that you can't get locally to a local thrift store or just like local Halloween shop, then you might look online to get these costumes ahead of time. And also, just for my experience here, since a lot of the students at Michigan like tend to go out on all 3 days, they actually tend to pick three different costumes for each day. And that you have to buy all of those costumes. It's not like you're gonna get them like if especially if you want to say you want to go all out, then you have to get the costumes like ahead of time. And sometimes if they're really nicely put together, they also come at a premium price. So I feel like my based off of what my friends have experienced. And I think that Halloween spending is still very strong. Definitely contributes to a lot of the spending in the economy in October. But definitely we could definitely look more into um early Christmas spending because that's actually something that I hadn't really thought about like until you just mentioned it.
Yeah, I just want to chime in like a discussion reply. But actually, I feel like you bring a really good point because, I guess a lot of things like, whoa, I'm not prepared. Yeah, let me go on Amazon to see what they have, right? What costumes they have or what candies they have. And I think that culture really got pushed forward because of COVID, right? COVID is like, I'm sitting at home. What do? I scroll Amazon, right? I scroll TikTok and like TikTok Shop also, right? Like I scroll digital platforms and then just buy random stuff to have it shipped to your house. And but actually, I feel like a lot of people that I've seen are hand making their own costumes. Like the people I've seen definitely are reaching into their creative storage and taking out very unique costume ideas. Like my friend was a rave boy, so he literally just put a scarf around his head and sunglasses, and it wore like a tank top with a water bag, and call it a day for one day of the whole weekend. And he was Alvin and Chipmunk for another, and he made both of those costumes himself. I don't think he went out his way to actually buy an Alvin and Chipmunk costume, but I guess it's just that during Halloween, people are suddenly become artists, and they need materials for their artistic needs, right? So I guess it's definitely Amazon probably did see a surge going to Halloween because that, like me included, I was like, oh shoot, Halloween's like 3 days away. Should I wear a costume? And the first thing I did was go to Amazon and see if there are any good costumes. And they were sadly all sold out. So I was like, forget it.
Yo, low key, that was also my situation because like I knew my friends started planning for Halloween like way before, but like I kind of like forgot that I should have planned for Halloween like way before because I got a little bit like I guess like trapped in my schoolwork, which is definitely on me, but like so I got lazy too. I actually borrowed my roommate's Red Sox jersey and it was actually a pretty exclusive jersey, so it made for a good costume. It was the Red Sox Irish jersey, which is in commemoration of St. Patrick's Day. And I also used one of my old FC Barcelona jerseys. It was a pink one from the 2018-19 season. I just like put it over me and it was pretty cold, so I just put it over one of my hoodies that I was wearing. So I was definitely lazy about it, but I was going to mention that Ann Arbor, like I went thrifting with a friend. I think the day before, or I don't remember. It was either the day of or the day before Halloween. And I went to like a thrift store and they were offering a lot of like parts of costumes at like a low price. So maybe as when I mean like part of the costume, I mean like oh maybe only like the pants part or only maybe like a hat or like a chain that you're gonna wear around your neck. So like I think um I think more people are doing their I just commenting on what Ivan said. I haven't really seen people actually making their own costumes. I think instead maybe people are using the parts that they get from these thrift stores and then they're just like putting them together or combining them with what they already have and sort of like what clothing they have. So I definitely think that I like Ivan, what you said about like people like designing their own costumes, I kind of find that hard to believe, but also if you were to take so much time out of the day to like grab a good costume and design it from the scratch, like fair play. Like you're having a lot of fun Halloween. That's something I wish I could do, but like time is obviously a little bit of a factor and not a good factor in that case.
Um, yeah, I was gonna talk about like why I think that we see people making costumes more. If you look at the prices of buying a costume and then the price of just getting a piece of paper and slapping an A on your chest while wearing like a red onesie, like it's crazy how expensive they've been getting. I think it's because like the market of it, it's like if a kid sees it, their parent is gonna buy it most of the time. Like if they want to be something, their parents gonna buy it. So like they kind of have parents trapped and they have um like I don't know, spirit Halloween. Like I imagine that their um their prices and their numbers are really really good, honestly, because the what it takes to make one of their costumes is probably not a lot. They probably make it in China and then they just get shipped over and then they
That's like
sell it for
every
like
single
60
business
cents.
model.
For real.
It's
It
like
is a
every single
crazy
business
business model.
model, just like
And you're um Have any of y'all actually been in a Spirit Halloween?
No.
Nah.
I
Okay,
was
I
in
I'm
something that
either
was
living
like it, but
I'm
it
either
was
living, dude, I'm either living under a rock or just like I've never seen a Spirit Halloween like in my area. Or that's, I mean, I think it's probably because it's a seasonal thing. So maybe like I have seen Halloween shops like when I was young, I saw like a few Halloween shops like come up for like the month or like 2 months in advance, but then they disappeared immediately after like a week after Halloween happened. So like I'm not sure if Spirit Halloween is like one of those because I haven't seen one or have any experience with one. I haven't seen one in the area that I live in Chicago or
Well,
Ann Arbor
yeah.
here. So
Just
I
want to
really,
interrupt. I think like the reason why I think maybe Zach, have you seen one before?
yeah, I have. I've been in one.
Okay, that makes more sense because from what I have read, is that Spirit Halloween's entire business is based on renting out vacant retail space, right? And then where we live, like we're living in relatively, not small, relatively not small cities, right? Like I live in suburban sprawl. It's growing because everybody comes here to work a software engineering job, right? So it's a growing. So retail spaces and properties are expensive, right? And if you're going in and only renting out a space for a max 2 months, that's gonna be super expensive, right? And the same with Chicago. Like Chicago is a big city. If you want to go in and rent something out for 2 months, it's gonna uh, be expensive, and it's not gonna. If you want to earn money, it's not gonna work out. But like if
okay,
you
but to
live
be
in,
fair, just interrupting, Ivan, it's just because you live in California. I think just the prices are just like hella hiked up there. Like
Yeah.
I feel like in my
yeah,
suburb, in Chicago, I've definitely seen more Halloween shops. Like there's definitely I've been finding that there's been more rental space. Again, like also like a lot of these like the pricing is still like considered high for most of these like businesses, but I think definitely not as much as California, especially the Bay Area. But I
well,
think
it's like I definitely have seen Halloween shops. It's like Party City. Like
yeah.
there's a Party City. I don't know if it's still open. Like I think like before pandemic, I saw it was closing, and I think pandemic actually just made it close. But it was like Party City was usually like the Halloween store in my area. I don't know if it still exists, obviously, but
I don't.
I
I feel
definitely
like Party City's kind of crusty, dude. I'm not gonna lie.
I've never been inside one, so I've only like seen it on the
Like
outside.
Really?
I'm like,
we had one. I think it lasted probably like, and mind you, this is Blacksburg, Virginia. So I mean, the rent is not insane. I mean, you still have like good amount of customers because we have college students and stuff like that. It lasted maybe 2 months and it was gone. It was just done. Like I feel like that Party City is just like it's just gross.
wait, what's the point of Party City in the first place?
Balloons. I don't know. Like honestly, I've never
Dude,
wanted to go in one. I've
the
never
Party
like
City in
like
my area is like still going strong. Like it's been around for like I don't know how long, but it's still around and still very popular. Like sometimes if I want to like I actually use Party City like some stuff from Party City that I actually use some of the things that I got from Party City for my graduation party, and I think a lot of people also like did the same thing. So like in my area at least, so the Party City in my area is like surprisingly still like very strong. Definitely, I don't know too much about the children's like aspect of it, but definitely just for like a general party, there's still a lot that they have to offer.
Wait, but like, can't you find the stuff you find at Party City at like a Walmart or Target? Like, that's what I'm confused about because I feel like
Low
there's a
key,
lot of competition.
low key, I just like I think the I think the biggest competition is actually online. Like I feel like more people are like buying stuff online, which is like again, it's like super high cost, but it's something that so many people are used to now from COVID that like party they literally just forgot Party City like exists. Like Party City's it's still going strong here, but it's definitely not as popular as it was before.
Yeah, but I guess like if you're a pro procrastinator, I'm not calling
Like me.
anyone out here, but like if you're like preparing for something like the day of like for example graduation, I like there's realistically you're not going online to buy any of the stuff, because it's not gonna come in time, right? So like I had to for my like decorating my graduation hat, for example, I had to go out and actually buy the materials in person. So I know I can finish it in time for graduation rather than going to Amazon, buying like maximum like 2x2 glitter papers and then waiting for it for like 2 weeks for it to come. Right? Like I guess certain retailers still have kind of a niche. It's like, you know, unless you have everything planned out from day one, you're gonna have still have to use their services, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's why Spirit Halloween actually does so well is because they get that crowd of like, oh, it's last minute, like I need to get something. But also they're not open 24/7. Like they just rent it out for a month. And like you guys have never been in one, but when you walk in one, it's it's the most jank thing ever. They just have like these like foldable like aisles almost like foldable aisles and like pegboards and they just put everything on pegboards and they like just put like nail stuff into the wall. It's like
That's crazy.
they don't give a crap because they're leaving in a month, and they're just trying to cut costs as much as possible. That's why it's actually a really interesting business model to be a part of. And like it's like it's a private company, so you can't really like see their financials, but it'd be really interesting to look at and see like I really wonder how much money they make, like and how much they're saving on just renting stuff out for like a month.
And I
Uh,
also like wonder like what do they do like when it's not Halloween season? Like do they like I don't know if like I don't know if what is it called? Spirit Halloween, like if they do if maybe they're under like another name for another season or another like holiday. I don't know if that's the case. I don't actually know that much about Halloween. But like I just really wonder like what happens between the months that you have to maybe plan for Halloween or just like what do you do when it's not Halloween season? I think that's my biggest question.
I mean, if I had to guess, they order all the stuff from wherever they're sourcing it, they warehouse it and just hold on to it. Um, and then they get deals to rent places out, find places to rent um for that month. Like there's holding on for all that time and then they make all the revenue and then they just like cut costs entirely and like go bare bones on their business. I mean like I've never seen a Spirit Halloween or open more than a month and a half. Like once Halloween's done, they're out of there in like 2 days. They're done. So um I was gonna
I would
ask you guys, this doesn't
I would
really have to do with
assume, wait, just like I would
yeah.
just assume that the Spirit Halloweens around around college towns especially, I would assume that they're open for at least a week after Halloween because like um sometimes like you don't it really depends on like the college culture, especially college like party culture because like a lot of colleges actually like this year like most colleges had their Halloween weekend after or had like Halloween weekend parties on like the Friday and Saturday. But obviously on Friday, Saturday, that wasn't Halloween. That was actually the day like November 1st, November 2nd. So I would assume that maybe if like Halloween was like right smack in the middle of the week, maybe on like a Wednesday, like maybe I don't know what people that are planning like these like parties or just like any like hangouts, like what day would they choose? Would they choose the weekend before Halloween or the weekend after Halloween? So that's definitely I mean it's definitely seasonal, depends on whatever the calendar is going to be, but I think something that in college towns that we'll see is that or just like big hangout places is that like we'll probably see like these like Halloween shops or like just seasonal stuff being open for a little bit longer than maybe it should be.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
I've done a
definitely.
little bit of research on Spirit Halloween, but apparently they're owned by a bigger company, so I guess that makes more sense. It's apparently like what's called like Spencer's, what is it called? Whatever. It's like oh Spencer's Gifts, which is I never heard of before, but it really makes sense. That they have like some bigger support on the back end. But also like they also have a website, spirithalloween.com, not sponsored. But they do sell costumes year round apparently. So like, I guess that's how they make money. I don't really think they have enough revenue, like to actually be a standalone company. Like
Nah, they
realistically,
definitely don't.
if you're thinking about it, like they definitely don't make enough money, right? They're
I don't.
spending like 90% of the year trying to cut costs, and then they're only making money for like 2 months max, right? That's not really sustainable, business unless you're a very small business. Like I guess with like haunted houses or stuff, like those are small businesses, really. But when you're on like a level of Spirit Halloween, I don't really think it's sustainable.
I would agree with you there, but I also generalize it to pretty much any other like big holiday where there's like a celebration, like maybe Christmas or maybe even like lunar some in some cases even Lunar New Year. Like I reckon that like these stores, if they were like as big as Spirit Halloween, if they were standalone, that they can't last. So that's why so many of the stores that we notice, like Spirit Halloween, I can't think of any other example off the top of my head. But like they're definitely some third party. I mean, they're definitely run by like another business like on top of it. If, if you like understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that definitely makes sense that they're owned by someone else. But I feel like during those that month or 2 months, they're making insane revenue during that time. Because like, you know, they don't have a lot of costs. Uh, because like and honestly, like they have like one or two employees for like that are actually working inside the place. Like if you were to rob Spirit Halloween, it'd be like the easiest thing. If you wanted to steal a bunch of costumes, I don't know. But I think like it's just um it's just kind of like it's interesting that they're able to stay up even with like a corporate supporter like that. Do you know what other businesses Spencer Gifts owns?
Mhm. Mhm. I don't
They
know.
own
I haven't done enough
Spencer's?
research, but I was thinking about other businesses similarly, like I guess like Carnival, like people who sell like deep fried Oreos, like kind of those people. Like, how do these businesses really earn money when it's not summer, right? Like, I've watched, like, I've done a little bit of research on this. Like, they don't really earn money when it's not summer. Like people who are making like deep fried ice cream, deep fried Twinkies, like all of those stuff. Those are fair foods, carnival foods, right? And then they only they make so much bank just by being in a carnival for like 3 months, and that it can sustain them throughout the year. Like that's how much money they make, and I would imagine Spirit Halloween will be the same. Like they make so much bank off of selling these cheap costumes. Where like I looked at their website, like a Joker, like what do you call it, a clown costume was like $60. Like crazy. They probably produce for like $2 in China. All right, like they're earning, I think, hella profit margins off of these costumes. Right, and they're selling it even if there aren't that much margins. The quantity that they're selling it at, like they're selling out their entire inventory for like in like 4 or 5 weeks, which is crazy, right? Like, so I guess the volume and then also their margins really give them that much bank that they earn in like a short time span that can really keep them afloat throughout the year, and especially with also like cutting costs, right?
Yeah, I mean, kind of like it's just how that works with like smaller businesses too. In high school, I worked for a bagel shop, and I mean, we were in a college town, so when there's like football games, especially the day after the football game, it was like insane because, well, if you drink, the best thing to have afterwards is a bunch of carbs. So like, everyone would come and get like high gluten bagels after. Um, so like we'd have lines at the door, but then as soon as the college students leave for summer, it's like we're in cut cost mode. Like people are, we're not hire, we don't have as much people working. The days are shorter. We close the shop earlier. Like they changed the summer hour to summer hours. Um, we have less stuff on our menu, and like it's really just like staying alive during that summer period and then making it to the next time when you're making a ton of money. Like you're having insane amount of money coming in during that time. Uh yeah, I guess that's just like the name of the game is just survive for that period that like that dry period.
Wait, so wait, your college town. What college is
Virginia
near?
Tech.
Oh,
Yeah,
right, right.
yeah.
You haven't talked a lot about A&M yet. What is it like in A&M, the Halloween like culture, just anything you've noticed, like
So here we got something called it's Northgate. I on whole weekend, honestly, I was a loser. I didn't do anything, like actually anything. I stayed home and I studied because like I had like a crap ton of exams. So like I couldn't do it. I just stayed home, but like it's it's insane. There's so many people out. Like, and how it works is we got this street called University, and all the bars are like this is the street, and then all the bars are like on the opposite side, like going into the like little square. And so like people are like walking in the street, but cars are coming going like 40 miles an hour. Like it's pretty unsafe to be honest. It's just that at Texas A&M there's so many people. Like it's insane how many people there are.
yeah, there's like 72K students, right?
Yeah, I think it's not the biggest, I don't think. I think ASU is the biggest, but it's up there. It's really big. Um So like it's always done huge. Like there's so many frat parties, so many parties, like all it's literally all over the place. I did go dance like okay, at Texas A&M, like we not everyone, but there's this place called Harry's. It's closing soon. It's dancing, so it's like two-step and like country dances, line dances. That's where it's at. That's where all the cool people go. It's so fun. It's actually so fun. No one drinks there because like you're there to dance, not really drink. It is a bar, but like people just dance. But it's a really fun time there. I went actually I did go there on Halloween. I went there on Halloween. I'm lying. That was a Thursday. I remember hurting the next day, like I was so tired on Friday at classes. But it was really funny to see like people in their inflatable costumes like two-stepping because it's like with two people. So you just see like a giant Teletubby two-stepping with like some like girl. It's so funny. Um, I'll like this is kind of like doesn't have to do with business at all, but like what was your favorite costume that you guys saw? Personally, I love the Loraxes. They're so funny
Oh,
to me. The
I was gonna
Same,
Loraxes
say
are
same, same,
hilarious.
same.
Lorax.
I was gonna
You
say
know,
Yeah.
Lorax too.
I was I was at the gym, right? I was coming back from the gym. It was like what, like 8:30 maybe, and I see this girl dressed up as Laura, and she went all out. She was like, she had like the stick, she had like the big orange body. She face painted entire orange, and it was like she was like her hands like up here. It was the funniest thing. It was like 9 a.m. I was like, how are you walking around like this at 9 a.m.? It was so fun. And
Oh, I
like
mean,
nobody else is dressed up. Like nobody else is dressed up. And it was just her in her big, big Lorax costume, just walking down like the main passageway we have to get on campus, just walking down that way. It was the funniest thing I saw all day.
I mean, I'm Michigan. I feel like I think another funny thing about like not even a week before, like, it was not even Halloween Day. It wasn't even the Wednesday where there were parties. Like, the Wednesday was obviously the 30th. I saw people wearing Spider-Man masks like a week before Halloween, and they were in the study rooms. They were just like vibing. They were like sort of doing some work, but they were actually more of a distraction. I was like, damn, why are people wearing their Halloween stuff a week before Halloween? And then on the day of Halloween, like obviously there's class, students go to class, and I had like an 8:30, right? And I think either this was the day of Halloween or the day before Halloween, which was hella strange. But I saw someone in in like one of the halls, like he was just like coming out of the hall. He was like, I guess he was walking back to his dorm, but he had a Lorax. He went all out. He had his entire costume of with the Lorax on. I was like, how on earth did you go to class with that and not like get clowned on? And then I think on one of the Barstool or like just one of the fun Instagram pages that I saw later, I think some people did post that there were a lot of people were in the costumes like the like right during the day. Like when there was class in session and they were wearing these costumes to class. Like I
Yeah,
thought that was pretty crazy.
yeah.
I really
I
like the inflatable ones. Like those, just like like imagine going to class in like a T-Rex inflatable. That would be funny. Like you're sitting on a tiny desk and you're like inflated. That would be so funny.
I think I've seen that too. I think I've seen that too here. Like the variety of costumes is insane. Like when I posted pictures of like what I was wearing on Instagram, my friends were clowning me because I was so lazy.
I I take it back. I think Oryx is not my favorite. My good friend Lauren, she was a Taco Bell hot sauce packet.
Oh,
That
okay,
is
okay.
like I would never think to be that. Like that's actually insane. But like it's so good for her character. Like it just fits who she is, and it's so funny. Um, but yeah,
But we gotta talk about like how everybody was either a cop or a prisoner.
it's been
Okay.
like that every year. Like it's always like
Or a
that.
sailor. Everyone was a sailor this week. Like it was, I mean, everyone was a sailor during the week of Halloween. I was like, why are there so many sailors here? And the sailors and like the police people, they literally look the same. Like it was so hard to tell them apart.
I guess it's like, oh, lock me up, officer.
I saw so many of those captions on Insta. It was my friend posted one of those. I was like, what the hell? Like, come on now. That's so like unoriginal, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Moving
I
on a
mean,
little bit from because we're
yeah,
getting
Zach,
off
you
track
can
again.
continue. Let's talk, yeah.
Uh, so like, what type of marketing do you think works best during Halloween? Like on you guys specifically, what have you guys seen? What worked best on you? And I mean, if anything, do you guys see anything? I feel like I personally did not see as much Halloween themed marketing. Maybe I wasn't looking, but I feel like I haven't seen it as much as in the past years.
I guess it's just because you aren't at Costco. Like I feel like if you go to Costco around this time, it's just gonna be like giant spiders on like the top of the aisles, and then like packs upon packs of candy. They're Halloween themes. I think it's just because of that. But on the college campus, like what you said, like I don't really see anything. Right? I guess it's just people using Halloween as an excuse to party. An excuse to, like dress hella weird. Um, but I guess if Halloween is mainly, if you're talking pure business wise, Halloween is, I think, a candy business, right? Like, I think candy manufacturers are definitely earning bank during Halloween because people are just buying these like variety packs. Like if you're like lazy, to buy a variety pack. But if you like want to show off you're rich, you gotta buy these full candy bars, right? Big candy bars to give to children. So I guess I think it's just because where we're at, right? If we're at home going to Costco, I feel like we'd be like, oh, Halloween's everywhere. But since we guys are on a college campus with people not doing Halloween stuff, they're doing Halloween as an excuse to, go out and have fun. Then obviously companies are not earning a lot of money off of those people, right? Well, definitely like bars definitely are earning money, but um, your mom and pop shop is not going to be earning a lot of money. Oh, but on the topic of that, I feel like I don't think Halloween itself earns a lot of money for like cafes or whatever, but like the seasons, like fall, this season, like when fall kicks in, you think pumpkin spice latte, or pumpkin spice everything, right? If it donuts, coffee, milk tea, whatever, right? I guess a lot of people capitalize off of the fall season as opposed to Halloween because fall is longer, right? You can start in like August, maybe if you're pushing it, but you can end in like December, right? Like there's really no start, very long start and end as opposed to Halloween where it's like 3-4 weeks max.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I
I've
mean,
noticed some, I guess, like similar trends here. I know for some of the, I just want to go back a little bit, I guess, like the parties and how I feel like the parties in Mish, they actually do a lot of marketing. Like they go on in, some of them go on Insta to like post like reels of their parties, but like I mean I just think that reels or anything like on TikTok especially when it's like Halloween themed, could be like a good like promotional method for just anything, not just like um it could be something to like attract you to like a deal or something, or just like maybe a food item that a restaurant is selling that may have like a pumpkin or just like any like ingredient in it that has some spiritual connection to Halloween. Like like some of the Instagrams that I saw and even like Snapchats, like they were promoting Halloween parties like hella early with a lot of some of the posted pictures of like what they were last year, but others were posting reels like, and there were some crazy reels too. They had some crazy animations. Like I credit the people that were working behind the scenes to make these promotions, because I think that definitely attracted more people to go to these parties. And also like I guess also on a business aspect of it, some of the parties here actually require you to pay some money. So if you were to like get tickets to go and have a good time on top of like the promotion, like that is like honestly that's honestly a pretty solid business model, especially for like I I don't know what like how parties or frats like really make money, because I'm not like kind of involved, and that's not like my sphere, that's not my expertise. But like,
You gotta sign an NDA for that.
oh, okay.
It's dues, Jack.
You
They
know,
make
you know
it,
more than I do, so like,
dude. It's the dues that they make their money on. I mean, and also parties they use it as, but they don't make as much money on parties, but they make so much
hella
money off
dudes.
dues, especially the big frats, because they'll charge like I don't know two. I think I've it's been like 2,000 for like the big white frats here.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
No, but they also have like donations, right? Like I guess fraternities and sororities, they are like philanthrop, like whatever you call it,
They're
like
hella involved in
a
philanthropy.
philanthropy. Like they're supposed to like do good in society, right? So like, a lot of, I guess a lot of money also comes from like donations too, right? From alumni. Like a lot of, when you have like this many people going through the same frat, there's definitely going to be one who's like a millionaire, right? Who's
That's for
willing
sure.
to give up a couple thousand for the frat or a sorority.
I mean, also a lot of nepo babies that they start recruiting, and then they think that they're rich and they could just like donate money in the future. But just going back to the topic of like marketing, like I guess like what have you guys seen like on like digital and like on online, like from like businesses that are like promoting and are doing a good job of promoting through the Halloween season?
I think. Well, honestly, this is like classic, and I think they do the exact same thing every single year, but it works every single time. Is Reese's like with their like
Oh
Halloween
yeah.
Oh yeah,
themed
100%.
Reese's cups? Like I don't know what it is.
Is it
I
the
bet
ghost
it's like the
ones?
same ratio of like chocolate to peanut butter, but they just make you think that it's so much better, and they
Or
do such a
is
good
it the
job.
ghost one like with white chocolate instead of like dark chocolate or something?
I
No.
haven't seen that one, but I'm talking about the
Oh
like the bat one. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
no, I only noticed Reese's because it was white instead of like your classic chocolate, like dark. It was white and it was like shaped as a ghost. Like it was strangely addicting. Not gonna lie.
White
It was
chocolate
like,
is terrible though. White chocolate is terrible.
no, I love white
It's
chocolate. I
not
don't know what
real
you're talking
chocolate
about.
though.
Like
See,
I love white chocolate, like
It
milk
has it
chocolate.
has
Dark
zero
chocolate is
chocolate
like,
in it. It has zero
dude, it
chocolate.
tastes good. Why? Why are you complaining? It tastes good. Like that's what
It's
I'm
not
basing my
real.
judgment on.
no, I'm
It's
just
not
a
real.
general chocolate lover, and just unfortunately comment that I have a peanut allergy, so I can't have any
Oh.
Reese's, which kind of sucks. So like, I just want the Reese's like promotion has been like pretty nice overall.
Hey,
It's been
Jack,
consistently nice.
no pain, no gain. Gotta
It,
challenge
I was
yourself.
gonna say it's worth it, bro.
It's worth
Just
it.
have the EpiPen on you. Just it's worth it, bro.
You know,
Uh,
microdose yourself. Microdose yourself with peanuts.
maybe. I mean, my allergy's not strong, so like I could always give it a go. Like my face gets rash, like who gives who
This is gonna
cares?
be evidence. When Jack suddenly does this episode's gonna be evidence. So it read on his will. It's like
Nah, I know my limits. Don't worry.
no, but what I found going back, but what I found was interesting. Like you know how you carve pumpkins for Halloween, right? I guess on social media, it's like a lot of the people were doing like super meme designs. Like they're doing like the tongue out design. If you know what I'm talking about, where it's like the goofy out
Yeah.
pumpkin, right? And then they have like this weird design where they have like a pumpkin with a tongue sticking out, which I found was very interesting because I've never seen that happen on Halloween before.
Have you? There's this one. I hope you know what I'm talking about. But there's one where they use the back of the pumpkin and then they put hands on it so
Oh
it it's
Oh,
like
nah.
spreading their cheeks. Dude, it's so funny. Oh, it's so funny. Um, yeah, I feel like I don't know. Honestly, I've seen some really good ones this year. I saw a Trumpkin. Someone like somehow made Trump in a pumpkin, which is
Ooh, okay.
crazy. Like that's like detailed. And I would never spend more than 20 minutes on making my pumpkin Trump themed. I just that's crazy to me. Um, but yeah. What about you, Jack? Have you seen anything?
Like like in terms of like pumpkin carving or anything like that.
Yeah, I guess pumpkin carving or like just like interesting ways that people have shown Halloween theme.
Yeah, so low key, a lot of a lot of people that I know, like or just people on my floor, they do dorm decorations. That is something that we haven't really talked about in this episode. But like a lot of people that they really want to like decorate their dorm or just like any house with like small like stickers or anything, or if they want to go out all out and decorate their entire house, like that, I mean, obviously there's a lot of like spending on that. Like sometimes sometimes the people in my neighborhood or just like people just that I live around, they like to decorate their houses like to act like they are a haunted house when they're kind of not. But that's just really adding to like the Halloween like tradition. I haven't really seen that this year because I'm in college and I haven't been around the residential areas of Ann Arbor. But like just like I guess that kind of goes off with like decorating like where you live, which in my case was like dorms. In terms of pumpkin carving, I didn't really pay too much attention in terms of like how people like decorated pumpkins. I know that some people actually did decorate pumpkins, but they left them out either on their windows or outside their dorm rooms. Um I think a lot of people actually carved their pumpkins in Michigan's logo back there as showcased by my roommate's flag. I feel like that isn't too hard of a carving, so I think that's why a lot of people went for it. And also just school spirit. Like, come on, like Michigan's logo is pretty easy to make on a to carve on a pumpkin. It's and Michigan's obviously a very marketable school. It's like a big name, both academics and sports. So everyone's gonna know what that is. So have school spirit and go blue.
uh, Actually, on top of pumpkins, I think like 2 days before Halloween, few pumpkins appeared. Like at Berkeley, we have this thing called Sather Gate, where it's like where everything happens. But it's like it's like the gate. When you enter the campus, and then like there's like pumpkins all over the gate. Like there's like five or six on the, like nobody knows how to go up there, but that was cool. But they definitely were not decorated. There were decorations for the gate.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's really like Halloween is just a really interesting holiday. I mean, you can argue that just there's so many holidays in this period that like add to Halloween because like I know people they're not as excited for Thanksgiving, but like Thanksgiving also brings in a lot of money for companies. Halloween, it's just like a really good time for businesses, and it's I feel like it's a really good just well, I mean, for businesses, I mean like consumer good businesses. I don't think it really has an effect on other ones, but I think it kind of shows it's like it's very cutthroat in the terms of like the community. It's kind of if you are not winning during Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, any holiday during that time, then you are losing a lot. And like it's really make or break for businesses. But yeah, I was before we wrap up here, do you guys have any other comments or ideas?
I think just to
Ah,
add on to like maybe your perspective a little bit, I think we are forgetting a little bit of Dia de los Muertos, which is more of a Latino holiday, and that like directly corresponds with like Halloween and almost like has like very similar like traditions. So especially in a lot of like Latino like uh areas where like the Latino population is pretty big, like maybe in like California or just like more of like this Southwest like countries or just like just again just areas where the Latino population is pretty large. I think maybe businesses over there could potentially create maybe a variant of what they offer to appeal more to the Latino community and maybe like contribute a little bit more. And that could also help a lot of their business in those areas. I know in Mexico where Dia de los Muertos is very big. It is actually bigger than Halloween. So I mean, but even though they have like the same like traditions, businesses still need to create some sort of variation to appeal to these I guess like different consumers. So I think that's something that hasn't been brought up yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really important, like inclusion and things like that. I think we could talk more on like a different episode about how important inclusion in every culture is to businesses, especially now. Um, and I think that's like a really interesting topic that we can definitely bring up in another episode. But I think we have to wrap it up here for episode 2, our Halloween episode. Again, my name is Zachary Stirk. You wanna?
Oh, I'm Ivan.
I'm Jack. I'll be hosting the next one, by the way. Same.
Yeah, Jack is going to do the next one, and then I think we're going to start doing kind of a game who decides to
Interesting.
decide who actually
Yeah, for
hosts
sure.
it. But we'll see how that goes. Thank you so much for listening, and we appreciate all of y'all.